Welcome back to Paul and Saul here at Movement Mortgage Studios. That's right, your boy got new digs, and we are sitting here on pretty much in the middle of Niceville, enjoying ourselves here. So
Shout out to Steve Shutt for letting us sit in here.
yeah, shout out to our boy. And so what do you think of the new digs, my guy?
I like it.
Yeah?
I like it. Now people will stop wondering why I'm coming to your house every week.
Yeah, well, that was goal 1A was for people to stop worrying why I was associating so much with you.
That works, man. That works.
But today on the show, now that we're back here, we're going to talk about some big transpirations, things that have transpired. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been gone for a little over a month, so we got stuff to catch up on, and most of that was my fault. I had knee surgery.
My guy went and had knee surgery on me. Not cool, by the way.
And the holidays got in the way.
That also the snow. The snow didn't help.
Yeah, we'll blame it on that.
Yeah. Anyway, Niceville got almost as much snow in 24 hours as it did in 100 years while we were gone. And
Crazy.
the things we do want to cover today, a new Catholic school officially approved. It's going to happen in September.
Yep.
We'll talk about all the details because my man Paul is plugged in. He's also plugged in and is kind of our correspondent today. You've been out and about and doing things. And so you were at the Niceville City Manager Coffee.
Yeah, I got to hang out with David Deitch this morning.
Got to hang out with all the big wigs and discuss some of the big things that are coming here in the next couple of months. We're also talking about elections, the speed zone cameras are on, and talking a little bit about that pause contract that was ended that has kicked up a little bit of a dust storm around here. And so I want to hear what City Manager Deitch told you. We'll talk a little bit about what happened in the City Council meeting here earlier in January. And then we'll have to, go on, talk a little bit about the construction site that is nothing official yet as of 10 o'clock this morning as we're recording this, but we'll kind of go into what people think.
Which construction site?
The one on Rocky Bayou.
Oh, I already know what it is. I got official word.
You got official word?
Yes.
It's officially official?
Yeah, well, we can announce it later. Maybe we'll string people along a little bit longer.
Here for it. And then finally, we're going to talk about something that's kind of stuck in our craws here for the last several months, but really since it happened. Azel Hardy was a gentleman here.
Yeah, I went to high school with him. He was class in 1998 at Niceville High School. And so his 10-year anniversary of his murder is coming up. And so we'll talk a little bit about that cold case and if it's going anywhere or not.
Yeah, perfect. So let's dig right into it. First things first, Catholic school. You're on the Catholic school kind of steering committee over there at Holy Name of Jesus. And so they've come up with a name. They've come up with a start plan. And you got to tell us what's going on, what's going to happen next, and who might be interested in sending their kids here.
Yeah, in the Catholic political world, you can't do anything unless your bishop says yes. And so last Friday, they got official approval from the bishop to host a diocesan Catholic school at Holy Name of Jesus in Niceville. It's going to be called Holy Family Academy, Catholic Academy, HFCA. They got a website out. They got a whole nine. You can start doing your research on whether you want to send your kids there or not. And so it's going to be K through 4th. It's going to start up in the fall. And yes, you can use the state funds to send your kids there. So it's not going to be 100% free, but it's going to be pretty close. And the idea is for the school to service Christ our Redeemer, Holy Name of Jesus kids, and also just any other Catholics in kind of the Freeport, Destin area that will find us geographically closer than St. Mary's.
So other people that are maybe not Catholic that would want to send their kids to a private school, is that open to them?
Yeah. I mean, historically, a lot of people will send their kids to Catholic parochial schools just because of the value of the education, not anything really related to the faith. So yeah, this is a great opportunity within our entire community to have just another educational option that didn't exist previously.
And so this thing's going to start off, they're going to use, I guess, the buildings that are already on campus, that little religious education hall that we have back there.
Yeah, so Holy Name of Jesus already has like 7 or 8 classrooms that they use for a variety of things, but they have put aside 5 of them for the school. And so there'll be some changes on campus for security things, like fences and different things getting put in, but the building already exists. And so a lot of the heavy lifting's already done.
A lot of land there in the back, I would say like 10 acres, there's a huge field if you're not familiar with Holy Name of Jesus on Valparaiso Boulevard. There is this massive field kind of on the northeast corner of it. Are there any plans to potentially expand that thing in the future?
So Holy Name of Jesus has between 10 and 11 acres over there off Valparaiso Boulevard. And you're right, there's a big chunk of it that's undeveloped and could be developed. I think assuming the school is successful, it will build out to a K through 8. And to be K through 8, we would probably have to do some construction there. So I think that is in the future.
Sports, are we going to have a lacrosse team?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, that's kind of the crux for me.
Well, if K through 8 is successful, maybe down the line too, there'll be a high school.
That middle
That'd
school
be cool.
cross culture. That's what I'm here for. So if you want to know more about the Holy Family Classical Academy, it's going to start up in August, September time.
Yeah, head over to Mid-Bay News. They already have a great article. They have all the links to the website. There's going to be an open house coming up here very, very shortly, and you're going to be able to start applying here really quickly too.
And I believe that open house is on February 2nd, which is Sunday.
Yeah, it's coming up.
So coming up this Sunday as we release this podcast. Moving on to the next thing that we got, Coffee with the City Manager. You are officially kind of like low-key our correspondent here at Mid-Bay News.
Well, I just happened to go. Yeah, they're changing the name to Town Hall in the new year. So it was a town hall with David Deitch, the city manager, and the mayor. Mayor Hinkle was there as well.
Cool.
They said this was the best turnout they've had thus far since doing them. There was probably like 10 to 12 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really great. A lot of people like to complain about not having the opportunity to know what's going on in the city or get access to city officials. And this is a great way to do it.
They also drop a lot of knowledge at these things that maybe they don't have time for or don't really cover at the city.
I mean, it took David Deitch an hour to go through his agenda. So we're not going to go through everything on the podcast today, but he went over capital improvements, so things that we could expect in the next like 12 to 24 months in Niceville.
In terms of buildings, capital,
yeah, parks, multi-use paths, those type of things. Anything that, is going to take infrastructure costs or just capital in general. He went over the state appropriations requests that they put into the state to try to get state funding for local things here. And then he wanted to make sure that we knew about the election. Niceville elections. We're not actually electing any people because our board is full, but we are having 2 charter amendments that he would like people to show up to vote on. One of them is so that they can hire a city clerk that doesn't necessarily live in Niceville. Some old legacy guidelines say that the city clerk, who's sort of like the city note taker, needed to live in Niceville, and that just sort of seems silly.
And so for reference, what we're talking about changing is what's called the city charter.
Yeah.
And a charter basically is like the rule book for a city. And so in order to change it, you have to put it to a vote. That's right. Council can't change it. And that's why you have some of these old archaic things that you have to like put to a vote.
Yeah. And normally when we're voting for like city board members and stuff, you're probably in the low thousands.
For people to show up?
Yeah.
Like turnout is usually between 10 and 12%. So like 1,500 people show up.
Yeah. So not very many people show up. So there's a little bit of a worry since there isn't people to vote for that no one will show up for the amendments. Yeah, the city clerk no longer needs to live in Niceville. And then the second one is when a board member decides to leave the board, they usually conduct interviews and then they vote to replace that person. And when there's a tie, there's a coin toss.
Yes. You guys might remember that from 2023. Was that 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Where we had Abner Williams resign, and then it came down to 2 Dougs and 1 coin flip. Right. And now the other Doug Tolbert, is taking one of those seats on the city council that's been vacated.
Yeah. So they're trying to get away from that. It just seems silly that someone's future is decided by a coin toss. So the new provision in the charter says that the mayor will be the tie-breaking vote, which I think is fair. The mayor doesn't get to vote on anything else, so might as well give him a little something.
Give him something on the side.
Yeah.
Now, looking into one of the biggest mysteries in Niceville right now is what is going in at Rocky Bayou. Dirt is moving.
Yeah.
People are talking.
So out in front of Publix. Yeah. So out in front of Publix, probably in the past week, there's been at least one post in Concerned Citizens on what is this? And the community is correct. We are getting a Wawa.
We're getting a Wawa?
A Wawa.
With the deli and everything?
I don't know how big it is. I don't have those details, but it was confirmed by the city this morning that is what's going in. They didn't really have any decision to make because that land is owned by the Byrne family and they didn't have to go to
commercial, right?
Yeah, it's already commercial. So there was no zoning or anything that needed to change. The city just has a relationship with Mr. Byrne and knew what was going in.
Okay. So, well, there you have it. It is a Wawa.
Yeah. So two things you guys should know about, though, that's coming up is they are going to turn on the school zone speed cameras, and those are going to go on February 5th, and they're going to run only during the blinky light times. So only when the school zone is active will those cameras be active.
It's like 30 minutes before it and 30 minutes after it?
At least for now. That's the way they're going to do it. And so the locations of those is one on Palm, right, kind of in between where the practice fields and Ruckle and Niceville are. And then there's one on Parton. So kind of between Ruckle and the school, Ruckle and the city complex.
And so if you go 1 mile over the limit, just so we're clear, it doesn't tag you for that. You have to go I believe it's 10 or 11 miles.
It's 11.
It's 11,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Which seems sort of silly because you don't want anyone going 10 miles an hour through a school zone more, 10 miles an hour higher. But that's governed, I guess, by like state legislature, and Niceville doesn't get to choose that.
And if anything, it'll make sure that if you get them, you got them, know. And I think the fine is $100 if they catch you by.
That's right. And it's a non-traffic violation. So it's like a municipal fine. So you just pay the fine. You don't get any points on your license. Your insurance company's not told. However, if you decide to dispute it and you lose, then it becomes a traffic violation.
Got it. Okay. So if you think they're wrong, you better be right, because they're coming for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
What was the other thing you wanted to talk?
So the second thing was the pause contract, which I've seen a lot of like hoopla on social media. And obviously we're only getting the city's point of view on this, but honestly, it seemed pretty valid. The pause organization has a new executive director. That executive director did not honor the old rate that we were being charged, which we apparently got. The old executive director had a verbal commitment that the rate wouldn't change. So there was some sort of misunderstanding there. And then the new executive director just didn't seem like they wanted to negotiate with Niceville. And so Niceville decided to not have the contract renew and basically hire a part-time person to pick up pets.
All right. And so if you want, we did a whole, I think it's like a 2,000-word story. We even included the city of Crestview city manager in it.
Yeah.
They did this same thing where they got out of using paws to collect animals and started their own thing. And so we talked to them about how this has gone for the city of Crestview, talked to paws director, whose name escapes me at the moment, and we talked to city manager Deitch. So if you want to hear from everybody on this issue, midbaynews.com, just type in PAWS, P-A-W-S, and it will pop right up. So check that out on our website as well.
So David Deitch said there were only 8 calls in November of 2024 for animals.
And it works out to like $300 a call or something.
No, it was even worse.
More than that?
So PAWS on the old contract was charging us about $8,800 a month.
Okay.
So for 8 animals, you're talking over $1,000 a month. $1,000 an animal.
An animal, that's right.
So for that particular month. So super interesting, at least from Niceville's perspective. They're making a financial decision that's good for our tax dollars. And David Deitch was pretty open about like fairness being a thing, and he was unhappy with Niceville being charged more than everybody else. And so between fairness and the overarching costs, we're going to internalize the picking up of stray pets.
All right. And so moving on to a little bit of a sadder topic that I know is close to your heart, and I'll just kind of intro this thing.
Sure.
Azel Hardy was a gentleman that worked at the Emerald Coast Autism Center, and the 10th anniversary of his murder is coming up. It took place, I believe it was February, March timeframe, early in the year of 2015. He was found dead in somebody's front yard. He was attending
in a neighborhood across from Edge.
That's right.
Yeah.
So his murderer, his killer's never been found. And it's something that I've tried to look into. I've made records requests to the city. The city has said it's a closed case, but it's an open case, but it's a cold case. And so they're not willing to part with that information. They did tell me to stand by, and when, they have information they want to give me, they'll let me know. But what we know right now is that there's somebody out there that did this and has escaped justice for more than a decade.
Yeah, which seems just crazy, right? So the things that we do know are that Azel was at a house party not far from where he lived, and that some sort of incident happened at the house party, which resulted in his death. There was no gunshot wounds or knife wounds. He was just found dead in somebody's front yard. So it seems highly unlikely that somebody doesn't know something. And just like you said, Azel was a pretty top-notch human being, graduated Niceville High School in 1998, went on to play, I think, Division II football, and was a leader on that team, and then came back here to work at the Autism Center. And to this day, the Autism Center still has a award that they hand out to outstanding employees that's in Azel's name. So just one of those people who's outstanding in our community and just taken far too early.
Well, again, if you know something about it, Niceville PD want to know. They did say that they're still looking for leads. They still want leads. Anything that people might remember. You never know what helps.
Yeah, I hate to speculate, but when you live in a small town and no one comes forth with any information, I tend to believe that maybe unfortunately it was somebody in the military and they're no longer living in this area, or someone who lived here locally and just hightailed it afterwards, or maybe only lived here for a short period of time. So I don't know. It just seems sort of unreal to me to be at a party and nobody have information that can result in an arrest. But But yeah, if you have any information, obviously we would love to hear about it at Mid-Bay News, but the correct people to go to are definitely the Niceville Police Department.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's the full list of things that we're going to talk about this week. Any last thoughts, any parting thoughts before we start this season of Paul and Saul?
No, I'm just happy to be back, happy to be in the new digs. And, as always, be nice, Niceville. Be good out there.
You heard the man.